Ankalaev versus Thiago Santos. All right. Hard fight to break down because it was painfully dull to watch. It was kind of a staring contest where they were looking at each other. Now, set that aside. I'm not looking to give them a hard time. It's not as though that was their goal, is to go out there and not engage, but sometimes that happens. What I would share for you is this. For some reason within the sport of MMA, and I don't see this in other sports, within our sport, if two guys lay an egg, the winner takes all the heat. And it's been this way for a period of time. I can remember a fight where Anderson Silva was really in the crosshairs. He went over to Abu Dhabi, he fought Damian Maia. He successfully defended a middleweight championship against a very tricky opponent. But it wasn't overly aggressive, it wasn't overly fun to watch. When the heat came down for that, it went solely on Anderson. And you're kind of looking around going, well, there was two guys out there. Why do we expect more out of Anderson than we do at the opponent? Or in this case, Ankalaev has taken all of the heat when it was actually Santos who was the one backing away. I don't have a point, by the way. In case you guys are waiting for a Chael, why are you going on about this? It's more of just an observation that one thing that is unique to this sport is if there is a contest that's unpleasing to the fan to watch, all of the heat goes to the winner. It doesn't go both ways, but if you look a little bit closer at this fight, and I would argue that the same thing with Damian Maia versus Anderson Silva comes into play, it was Ankalaev that was going forward. Santos did not. Now, Ankalaev weighed in on this today, post-fight, and he said, look, Santos comes at everybody. He stands his ground. He comes forward like a bull in a china shop. We were completely prepared for that. When Santos started going backwards and started moving lateral, that is nothing that we've seen him do in his other contests, and we did not have an answer for that. The only answer that I could come up with on the spot was to strike with him, whereas I was planning to capture him and grapple. So he had to change his idea. Now, that's not an excuse. That's a reason. And I accept it. He shared the reason with us. One thing about Santos, who has all of our respect. Santos looked so good in his fight with Jon Jones, where he was completely dismissed and counted out, that he's going to be remembered and reflected upon fondly. I hedge my words here because I don't want this to sound like an insult. I think Santos is great. I think Santos is great fun. I also don't think he's a main event guy. And not just because the marquee or the lights are too bright and his name isn't big enough. No, I don't see it that way. The way he's built, the strength that he has, I don't believe that he backed away from Ankalaev as a part of a strategy. I believe he backed up and disengaged because he knows how hard it is to go 5 rounds. And there's some guys that are just not main event guys. They're not. You have an opponent, everything's fine. You tell them it's 5 rounds as opposed to 3, and it flips a switch in their mind. Now, Ankalaev comes on the back end of this, and he openly says, and this is within the same statement, he openly says, I am not proud of that performance. That was not me at my best. I want a title shot next. Now, I don't know of anybody that's ever got a title shot admitting that their last performance wasn't very good. Kamaru Usman was in the crosshairs for a period of time because Kamaru Usman, after a fight, said that was only me at 30%. Everybody's looking around going, yeah, but I paid full ticket. Where's the rest? And I'm only bringing that example because words matter. Now, as much as you're going to dismiss Ankalaev, and of course he's not getting a title shot next, this is the start. If you go back and look historically, it takes 2 to 3 times of saying, I deserve a title shot, I'm next for a title shot. You get told no, you get a victory, you say the same thing again. You get told no, you get a victory, now you've got the platform and the microphone, you say it again. 2 to 3 times of being told no, of dealing with rejection, of telling your same story while having success, and then you end up with a title shot. So while Ankalaev is saying I deserve a title shot right now and I've beaten 8 men in a row and now I'm a main event fighter, all true points, he is not getting one. However, he is beginning the conversation. Guys, it was only about 8 or 9 months ago when we all laughed and dismissed Makhachev and all of the talk from Team Makhachev that he should get a title shot. And we took pleasure in it. We took pleasure in telling somebody as tough and successful as him, no. And then we got our way because he didn't get it. It was right. It gets weird. Psychology of a fan can get a little bit weird. But now here we are 3 wins later by Makhachev. And we're not only not laughing at that, we're saying, hey guys, Makhachev should get a title shot. We're now saying what he said. So it's just a process. Where do you go with Ankalaev? Where do you go with Santos? I still am a believer in Santos, whether that was a great performance or not. However, I'd like to see him in 3 rounds. That's just me as a fan. Ankalaev, on the other hand, called out Anthony Smith. Now, Ankalaev went a little bit further, which was to say Anthony Smith was offered that match and turned it down. Anthony clarified that, said I just had knee surgery, not to mention I was dealing with a staph infection. But I think if we were to look a little bit closer at that, I'm not sure how interesting Ankalaev at the time that he was offered Anthony Smith was. He was a killer. He was ranked number 9. He'd beaten 7 or 8 guys in a row already, 6 or 7 guys in a row already. He wasn't a household name, and he was a really dangerous guy. But all of a sudden, what a difference a day makes. Ankalaev is now a main eventer, and he succeeded in the main event. All of a sudden, there is a little bit more to that name, not to mention the beautiful record and the beautiful ranking, that might be more attractive to a guy like Lionheart, who is a household name. Now, I don't want to speak for Anthony on that because that's actually not the fight that I want. I personally am more interested in Khalil Roundtree versus Anthony Smith. So let's just hold the thought. We'll see where it all goes. But if you want to know what happened in the fight over the weekend between Santos and Ankalaev, look, it was a staring contest. They really just looked at each other, and you could see good form. I saw good 1-1 followed by a 2 by Ankalaev. He would miss. Everything missed. But as far as his form, as far as his ability, man, this is a big, rough guy. This is a big, tough guy. And the fact that he could change on the spot, whether it was pleasing or not to look at or otherwise. When you think an opponent's going to come at you, and that's going to be the genesis of your offense, and he ends up going the other way, and you have to change on the spot, being able to adapt is what the greats do. So whether it was pleasing or not is a different conversation from was it a good performance? Did he succeed? Did he deal with a level of adversity and find a way to win anyhow? Yes, he did. Ankalaev has a beautiful record. He's now a main event fighter. He's in the 5-round club. These are all very positive things, and he's starting to say the right words, which is, I want to be looked at for my already achieved successes. You got to start the conversation somewhere. Today, he's going to be dismissed. I know you guys are dismissing him. He's going to be laughed at and brushed off. Rejection is part of it, but you have to get started at some point. I think if we come away with any conclusion from this, as long as Ankalaev has success and says big things, he's going to be on his way.